Elias had never stood on a ship that large in his entire life. The Queen's flagship rose like a silver mountain above the frozen ground, humming with power that seemed far beyond human technology. Its smooth metallic surface glowed faintly blue, reflecting the snow and sky. Guards lined both sides of the entrance ramp, standing tall and silent as Queen Valeera walked forward. But she didn't walk alone. Elias followed her, unsure where to step, unsure what rules he was supposed to follow. The guards watched him with curiosity, some with confusion, others with respect. None dared to question the Queen, because her expression was clear. She wanted him close. When they reached the top of the ramp, Valeera turned to him. From this moment, she said softly, "You walk beside me." Elias nodded, though he still felt like he'd stepped into someone else's story. "I'll try not to embarrass you." "You will not," she replied with quiet certainty. Inside the ship, the air was warmer and filled with soft blue light. The walls were smooth and alive with symbols that shifted like streams of light. Valeera led him down a long corridor toward the central chamber. Along the way, every guard they passed bowed deeply. Some whispered, "The Queen has returned. She is safe. And she brought a human." Elias felt awkward, but Valeera didn't seem bothered. She walked with pride, every step showing she had regained much of her strength. Inside the central chamber, Valeera turned toward her guards. "Prepare the council," she ordered. "We must speak of the rebellion. Yes, Your Majesty, and tend to the loyal pilot who crashed." She added, "He risked everything to reach me." The guards bowed and hurried away. When the chamber finally quieted, Valeera looked at Elias with the gentleness she never showed in public. "You are safe now," she said. Elias exhaled. "I didn't realize how dangerous all this was." "It is not your world," Valeera said. "Yet you faced it without fear?" Elias shrugged. "I was afraid. I just didn't run." Valeera stepped closer. "Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to move anyway." Her voice softened. "That is what makes humans powerful." He didn't know how to answer that, so he looked around the room. "What happens now? For you? For the Empire?" "For us," she corrected calmly. Elias felt his heart skip. "Us, yes." Her gaze didn't waver. "The bond formed on that night is not symbolic. It is real, ancient. My people will expect me to honor it." Elias rubbed his neck. "I still don't understand what the bond actually means." Valeera placed a hand over her chest. "When a Ketheri queen is dying or in danger, the one who shares warmth with her becomes tied to her spirit. Our ancestors believed that life and destiny join in such moments, so I'm tied too." "Your destiny?" Elias asked carefully. "Yes, and what does that make me?" Valeera thought for a moment, choosing her words carefully. "To my people. It makes you someone I must protect, someone I stay near, someone I value." Elias swallowed. "Sounds important." "It is," she replied. "Very much." A guard hurried into the chamber then and bowed. "Your Majesty, the council is gathering. They wish to see you." Valeera nodded. "We will go shortly." "We?" Elias repeated. She met his eyes. "You will stand with me." "What? Me? In the council of your empire?" "Yes." Elias stared at her. "Valeera, I'm just a repair engineer. I don't belong in your political meetings. You belong wherever I say you belong," she said simply. "And I choose to have you beside me." He blinked at her honesty. "Why?" She stepped closer. "Because when everyone else abandoned me, you stayed. Because when rebels struck, you stood with me. Because when I fell on your shelter roof, you warmed me with your bed." Her voice softened. "Those memories shape who I trust." Elias didn't know how to respond. Part of him felt honored. Another part wondered if he was in over his head. But Valeera's calm confidence steadied him. "All right," he said. "I'll stand with you." Her expression brightened just a little. "Good." They walked together to the council hall, an enormous room with floating platforms, glowing pillars, and high ceilings shaped like crystal waves. The council members were already there, each tall and elegant, wearing robes of deep blue and silver. All of them stared when Elias entered. Whispers filled the hall. "A human? The Queen brought him? He stands beside her." Some looked curious, others shocked, and a few irritated. Valera raised one hand, and the room fell silent. I have returned, she said. Her voice echoed with calm strength. The rebellion attempted to take my life, but I survived because of unexpected loyalty. She motioned to Elias. From him, a wave of murmurs swept through the council. One elder stepped forward. Your Majesty, why is a human standing in the place of honor? Because he earned it, Valera answered. The elder hesitated. He is not Kethri, no, Valera agreed. But he stood when others fled. He protected me when my own commander tried to end my reign. The elder bowed his head. Then we honor him? Elias shifted uncomfortably. He had never been honored by an alien council before. He never imagined something like this. Another counselor stepped forward. Your Majesty, what do you command us to do about the rebellion? Valera's expression turned serious. The rebels will be judged by our laws. But I want no cruelty. Their leader will stand trial. A fair trial, the elder repeated. As always, Valera nodded. Elias watched her. Even with everything she faced, the cold, the attack, the danger, she stood strong, calm, and wise. He understood why her people followed her. After the meeting ended, Valera returned to her private chamber with Elias. The chamber was quiet, filled with soft lights and calm energy. It felt nothing like the cold land below. It felt like a place meant for healing. Valera sat on a cushioned seat and looked at Elias with gentle eyes. You handled the council well, she said. They respect courage. And you have it? I just stood there, Elias said. You stood beside me, she replied. That matters. He sat across from her. Valera, what happens to me now? I mean, do I stay on the ship? Do I go home someday? He hesitated. Am I free? Her eyes softened at his last question. You are free, she said softly. Always. The bond does not control you. It protects you. Elias relaxed slightly. So I can choose my own path? Yes, she said. But understand this. She leaned closer. My path is you in it now. Elias felt something warm move through him when she said that. You don't want to leave me, he said quietly. I cannot, she whispered. And I do not want to. She looked down at her hands for a moment before speaking again. Elias, when I was freezing on that roof, I felt something I had never felt before. Not fear, not pain. She lifted her eyes to his. I felt trust. From you, he swallowed. Her sincerity was powerful. And when you stayed awake to watch over me, she continued, I realized something else, something personal. Her voice became soft and warm. I wanted you near me. Elias felt his breath catch. Near you? Why? She held his gaze. Because you made me feel safe. He blinked. You're the queen. I should feel safe around you. But you made me feel human, she whispered. Silence filled the room, soft, warm, meaningful. Elias finally spoke. So, what do you want to happen between us? Valera took a slow breath. I want you beside me, she said. Not as a servant, not as a guard, but as someone I choose. Elias swallowed. That sounds important. It is, she said simply. I do not choose lightly. He nodded slowly. And if I choose to stay? Her voice warmed with emotion. Then the bond becomes something beautiful, something shared. Elias took a deep breath. Everything had happened so fast, yet somehow it felt right. He looked into her golden eyes. I'll stay, he said. Softly, Valera's breath trembled. Just a little, like hearing words she had hoped for but didn't expect. She reached out and gently placed her hand over his. Then I will never leave you, she whispered. And for the first time since Elias met her on that freezing roof, her expression was not cold, not regal, not distant. It was peaceful, as if she had finally found what she had been searching for. The shelter was quiet again after the rebels fled, but the silence did not feel peaceful. Elias could still feel the leftover energy in the air from Valera's final blast. His heart beat fast, and his arms ached from blocking strikes far stronger than anything a normal human should ever face. But he didn't regret anything. He knew he would protect her again if needed. Valera helped him sit in a chair, her touch gentle but steady. Even though she was the queen, she looked at him with worry, as if he were the one who mattered most at that moment. You should rest, she said softly. Elias shook his head. You're the injured one. I am recovering, she replied. Because of you. She lowered her voice. Let me care for you now. She wrapped a heated blanket around his shoulders and gave him warm mineral broth. He drank slowly, watching her move around the room. Although she was still weak, she carried herself with the dignity of a leader. But there was something else in her eyes now, something personal, something protective. After a few minutes, Elias felt his breathing steady. Valera, he said, they'll come back, and probably not alone. I know, she answered. They will return with more warriors. Perhaps a commander. Can we survive that? Elias asked quietly. Valera did not respond right away. She turned toward the window, watching snow swirl across the frozen land. My loyal guards are out there, she said. They will reach us if they can. But until then, we stand together. Elias nodded. Then let's prepare again. Valera looked at him suddenly. You are not afraid? I should be, Elias admitted. But for some reason I'm not. Her golden eyes softened. Humans are strange. You said that 3 times, he said with a small smile. Because it remains true. She returned his smile, a real one, warm and calm. For a moment, the cold outside felt far away. But the quiet didn't last. Around midday, a faint rumble echoed from the sky. Elias and Valera both turned toward the sound. That's not thunder, Elias said. No. Valera whispered. It is an engine. They rushed outside. High in the sky, a small Kethri craft flew low over the ridge. It circled once, scanning the ground. Valera's expression changed instantly. Relief washed over her face. That is one of mine, she said. My loyal guard captain flies that model. Elias sighed with relief. Then let's get their attention. He grabbed a flare from his belt and fired it into the air. The red streak arced upward and burst into a bright glow. The craft dipped lower. It sees us, Valera said. But before Elias could relax, another sound filled the air, louder, harsher, more aggressive. A second engine roar cut through the wind. Elias's eyes widened. They're not alone. A second craft appeared behind the first, larger, darker, with red markings like the rebel warriors. It moved like a predator chasing prey. Valera's relief changed to alarm. The rebels found them. She said, we must take cover. Elias helped her back inside the shelter. The small structure shook as the 2 aircraft clashed overhead. Blasts of energy lit the sky, sending shock waves through the cold air. Valera placed her hand on the floor and whispered something in her own language. The weak barrier around the shelter strengthened slightly, glowing brighter than before. What are you doing? Elias asked. Protecting us, she said. But I cannot hold this for long. Outside, the fight grew louder. The loyal craft tried to dodge, weaving through the clouds, firing escape flares. The rebel craft chased closely, launching bursts of energy that lit up the snow. Elias clenched his jaw. Your guard is outnumbered. Yes, Valera whispered. And if they fall, the rebels will come for us next. He knew she was right. The loyal pilot fired one final light burst. But the rebel craft struck its wing. The smaller ship spiraled out of control. Valera gasped quietly. No. Elias grabbed her hand without thinking. They can survive. Pilots train for crash landings. She looked at him with fragile hope. But fear still hid behind her eyes. The loyal craft hit the ground far across the ridge. Smoke rose from the crash site. The rebel craft circled the area once, as if ensuring the pilot was down, then turned toward the shelter. They're coming, Elias said. Valera stood beside him, her jaw set. We faced them together. The rebel craft landed a short distance away. The engine roar faded, replaced by silence. Elias watched through the window as the door opened and 6 warriors stepped out, wearing the same red-marked armor as the ones earlier. At their center stood a tall figure with dark silver markings. His presence was cold, authoritative, angry. That must be their commander, Elias said. Double quotes, yes. Valera whispered. Commander Rul. He once served me. Now he wants my throne. Rul raised a hand, and the other warriors spread out. They plan to surround us, Elias said. Valera nodded. Yes, they intend to break in from all sides. Elias's mind raced. The shelter was strong, but not strong enough for a long fight. We need to stall them, he said. Your guards might still come. My guards will come, Valera said firmly, as if speaking her faith into existence. But we must delay until they reach us. The commander approached the door and struck it with his fist. Queen Valera, he called, come out. Your time has ended. Valera did not respond. Elias stepped closer to her. Let me talk to him. She shook her head. It is dangerous. It's more dangerous if they break the door open. Before she could stop him, Elias moved to the door. He didn't open it. He only raised his voice. You won't get her. A heavy silence followed. Then the commander spoke again. Human, you are a guest in our land. Do not fight battles beyond your place. I'm not fighting for a place, Elias said. I'm fighting for a person. Inside the shelter, Valera stared at him through widened eyes. His words struck something deep inside her chest. Commander Will growled. She is nothing to you. No, Elias said firmly. She is everything right now. Valera pressed her hand against her heart, stunned by how strongly those simple words affected her. The commander's voice hardened. Very well, if you stand with her, you fall with her. The warriors lifted their weapons. The shelter's barrier glowed brightly as the first strike hit. Valera rushed to Elias. Get away from the wall. He moved back with her as another strike hit the barrier. The whole shelter shook. How long can your barrier hold? Elias asked. Not long, she whispered. I am still weak. The rebels attacked from 3 sides at once. Sparks flew. The barrier flickered. Suddenly, a distant roar echoed across the land, different from the rebels' engine. Deeper, stronger. Valera's eyes widened. That is not a rebel craft. Elias looked out the window. A massive ship descended from the clouds, sleek, glowing with blue royal markings. It was far larger than the rebel craft, and its engines hummed with the power of high-level Kethari technology. Valera's breath caught. It's mine. My flagship. Elias felt relief wash through him. Your guards found us. The rebel commander looked up in shock as the Queen's flagship descended. The ground shook as it landed near the shelter. Dozens of armored royal guards stepped out, taller and stronger than the rebels. The commander yelled to his warriors, fall back. We cannot fight the Queen's elite guard. But it was too late. The Queen's soldiers surrounded the rebels, pointing their energy spears at them. The rebels surrendered one by one as the commander tried to escape. But a guard leaped forward and captured him. Valera and Elias stepped outside. As the cold wind blew softly, the Queen's guards bowed deeply when they saw her. Your Majesty, the lead guard said. We found you at last. Valera nodded. Thanks to him. She pointed at Elias gently. The guard glanced at Elias with respect. The Queen rarely gives such praise. Elias felt awkward. I just helped. But Valera shook her head. You saved me. Twice. No one in my empire has done that. The guards prepared to take Valera aboard the flagship. But the Queen didn't move. Instead, she looked at Elias with a soft but firm expression, one that left no space for doubt. You are coming with me, she said. Elias blinked. Me? Yes, Valera answered. I told you. I cannot leave you, and I will not. She stepped closer and lowered her voice. You shared your bed with me, human. Now you are bound to the Queen. Elias swallowed hard, unsure what to say. But he knew one thing. His life would never be simple again. The sun on the frozen moon never rose high, but its faint warning light slipped through the small window of the shelter. Elias woke slowly, hearing the soft hum of the heater and the quiet breathing of the alien Queen resting on his bed. For a moment, he wondered if yesterday had been a dream. But when he looked over, he saw her. Queen Valera was awake, sitting halfway up, her golden eyes calm but alert. She looked stronger today. The faint glow of her blue skin had returned, and the royal markings on her arms looked brighter than before. You watched over me again, she said quietly. I stay close in case you need something, Elias replied. She tilted her head slightly, studying him with the same focused curiosity she had last night. You humans, you act without expecting anything in return. Well, Elias said with a small smile. It's just who we are, and that is what confuses me, Valera whispered. He offered her another cup of warm mineral broth. She took it carefully, her long fingers brushing his for a moment. Even that small contact made the room feel warmer. When she finished drinking, she looked around the shelter. This place is small, but safe, she said. I understand why you stay here. It feels like a nest, a nest? He repeated, amused. In my world, nests are warm shelters shared only with people we trust. Her eyes met his. Last night, you made space for me in your nest. Elias felt his ears get warm, unsure what to say. He tried to shift the topic. What happened to you? He finally asked. Why were you out there alone? You're a queen. You should have dozens of guards. Valera looked down at her hands, the slightest tension crossing her face. I was attacked, she said softly. By my own people. Elias froze. What? Why? There are some within the Empire, she continued, who believe I am too friendly toward humans. They think our alliance weakens us. They wish for war. Elias felt a cold shiver that had nothing to do with the weather outside. So they tried to overthrow you? She nodded slowly. I escaped my palace with only a few loyal guards. But the storm separated us. I walked for hours in the freezing wind. My body could not hold against the cold forever. And you landed on my roof, yes. She looked at him with a calm but grateful expression. And you saved me. Elias shook his head. You don't owe me anything. Anyone would have helped. Not in my world, she said quietly. In my world, kindness is rare. A silence settled between them, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was thoughtful, heavy, filled with meaning that neither of them fully understood yet. After a while, Valera took a slow breath. I must contact my loyal soldiers, she said. They will search for me. If they find my location, they can bring us to safety. Us? Elias repeated. Valera looked at him without blinking. You formed the bond. I already told you I cannot leave you. Elias rubbed the back of his neck. I really didn't mean to form anything. I just gave you a warm bed. For the Kethri, she explained gently. Sharing warmth during a time of danger is deeper than you understand. Our ancient vows are tied to it. Elias sighed softly. All right, then we'll figure it out. She seemed pleased by his acceptance. Her shoulders relaxed, but the peace didn't last long. The shelter's alarm suddenly began blinking again, this time bright orange. Not a temperature alert, not a structural warning. This one was a motion sensor alarm. Someone or something was approaching. Elias stood up quickly, checking his instrument panel. 3 heat signatures were moving toward the shelter, approaching fast, coming from the south ridge. Valera stiffened. They found me. Are they yours? Elias asked. No, she whispered. These are not my loyal guards. Elias grabbed his tool belt, not weapons, but strong enough to be used for defense if necessary. He glanced at Valera. You stay here. Keep warm. I'll check outside. I should go with you, she said firmly, trying to rise. You're still weak. Elias protested. And you are human, she answered, her voice tense. They will not hesitate to harm you. Elias shook his head. I'll be careful. She gripped his arm, surprising him with her strength. Do not go far. I won't. He slipped on his boots and stepped out into the icy wind. The cold hit him instantly, but he pushed through it. The snow crunched under his feet as he moved toward the ridge where the signals came from. It didn't take long to see them. 3 tall figures, Kethri warriors, stood on the hill, scanning the area. They wore dark armor with red streaks, markings Elias recognized from old reports. These were rebels, the group that wanted the queen gone. Elias ducked behind a large rock, hiding from view. He listened carefully. She came this way, one warrior said. She cannot have traveled far. Another replied. The storm would have slowed her. The 3rd warrior pointed toward Elias's shelter. There, a human outpost. Elias's breath caught. If the queen is hiding, it will be inside. The warrior growled. No, Elias whispered to himself. Not good. He backed away slowly, careful not to make noise. Once he was far enough, he ran through the snow and hurried inside the shelter. Valera sat up immediately when she saw his expression. They're coming, he said. 3 of them, rebel warriors. Her eyes hardened. They will try to take me, or silence me. I'm not letting them inside. You cannot stop them alone. Elias exhaled slowly. Then we protect you together. Valera looked at him with a strange expression, half surprise, half admiration. You stand with me? Of course. Her gaze softened for a moment. Then she nodded. I can fight, she said, pushing the blankets aside. My energy is returning. Not fully, but enough. Elias moved to help her, but she held up a hand gently. I can stand. She rose, slower than usual, but steady. Despite her weakness, she looked powerful, like a storm wrapped in calm light. We must prepare, she said. Elias grabbed whatever he had, reinforced tools, a portable shield generator, and a signal flare. Valera stepped to the center of the room, placing her palm on the floor. Her skin glowed faintly. I can make a barrier, she explained. A small one. It will not last long. He nodded. Do it. Within seconds, a faint blue shimmer spread across the walls like a second layer of protection. Just in time. A sharp knock echoed through the shelter. Not gentle, not friendly. Open the door, a deep voice commanded. We know the queen is inside. Elias and Valera exchanged a look. Human, the voice continued. Give her to us, and we will let you live. Elias felt anger rise in his chest. These rebels saw humans as weak, unimportant. But he wasn't about to let them take someone who trusted him. He stepped forward, raising his voice. She's under my protection. A long silence followed, then a cold laugh. You think you can protect a queen? You are only a human. Elias didn't flinch. Try me. The door shook violently as the rebels began to force it open. Valera moved beside Elias, placing her hand on his shoulder. Stay behind me, she whispered. Not happening, he said. They stood side by side as the metal door creaked under pressure. Finally, the door burst open. 3 tall rebels stepped inside. But the moment they crossed the barrier, Valera reacted. A wave of light exploded outward, knocking the rebels back. They staggered, surprised. The battle began. One rebel charged at Elias. Elias dodged and swung his reinforced tool, striking the warrior's arm. It didn't hurt him much, but it slowed him down. Valera turned and sent a blast of energy toward another rebel, knocking him into the wall. Her movements were slower than usual, but still graceful and sharp. Elias blocked another strike from the first rebel and shoved him back. The rebels grew frustrated. She is weak, one shouted. Take her. But Elias stepped in front of her, blocking their path. You want her, he said. You'll have to go through me first. For a moment, the rebel hesitated, not because Elias was a strong fighter, but because of something else. Something unspoken. A human protecting a queen standing with a human. It broke every rule they knew. Valera gathered what little energy she had left and released. A final pulse of light that filled the room. The rebels shielded their faces and stumbled back. Retreat. The leader shouted. We will return with more. The 3 rebels fled the shelter, disappearing into the icy wind. Elias dropped to one knee. Breathing hard, Valera turned to him, her expression full of something deep and emotional. You stood with me, she whispered. I told you, he said. Smiling weakly, I don't leave people behind. She knelt beside him, her hand resting lightly on his shoulder. And now, she said softly, I will never leave you. The night was colder than any night Captain Elias Ward had faced in the Outer Rim. His small human outpost sat deep inside alien territory, far from Earth, far from safety, and far from anything familiar. The wind outside the shelter howled like metal scraping against stone, a sound that made most soldiers uneasy. But Elias was used to it. He had spent 7 years on this forgotten moon, helping build peace between humans and the Kethri Empire, an empire ruled by a mysterious queen no human had ever seen in person. He thought this night would be like every other, quiet, cold, and lonely. But everything changed when the alarm in his shelter suddenly flashed red. A heavy thud shook the roof, then another, then a long dragging sound. Elias grabbed his jacket and moved toward the door slowly, keeping his hand near the old plasma tool he used for repairs. The wind roared again, but this time another sound mixed with it, something like a faint, strained breath. When he opened the door, snow slammed into his face. He pushed through it and lifted his lantern toward the roof. That was when he saw her. A tall figure lay half-collapsed on the metal surface, covered in frost. Her skin pale blue and glowing faintly under the lantern light. She wasn't just tall, she was larger than any human, shaped with the proud, noble design of the Ketheri royal line. And she was clearly hurt. Elias climbed up, ignoring the biting cold. When he reached her, he knelt down and checked for a pulse. Her skin was so cold it felt like touching ice. "Hey, can you hear me?" he asked softly. Her eyes opened just a little, revealing golden irises that shimmered even in the darkness. She tried to speak, but the wind swallowed her weak voice. He didn't know who she was yet, only that she was in danger. With effort he helped lift her onto his shoulder. She was heavy, but Elias was stronger than he looked. Years of work in the harsh rim had built him into someone who could carry more weight than most soldiers. He brought her inside, shut the door, and lowered her gently onto his bed, the warmest place in the shelter. The heating vents near the mattress worked better than the ones in the main room. Her breathing was shallow and uneven, and her hands trembled. Elias wrapped her in thermal blankets, but she still shivered. He walked to the emergency heater, adjusted it to full power, then moved back to her side. "You'll be okay," he murmured. "Just stay awake." Her fingers twitched. She looked at him again, this time with a little more focus. Her voice came out soft, almost musical, even in her weakened state. "You are human," she whispered. "Yes, and you're freezing. Don't talk, just rest." She blinked slowly, as if trying to stay conscious. Elias took her hand carefully, respectfully, and tried to warm it between his palms. Her skin felt like frozen stone. Her breathing steadied slightly. For the next hour he stayed beside her, checking her temperature, adjusting the blankets, and trying to help her recover. He didn't know her identity, but he saw the symbols on her armor, royal marks, etched with precision and authority. Only one person in the Ketheri Empire carried those markings. But Elias didn't dare assume. At some point, when the heater finally pushed enough warmth into the room, the woman's trembling slowed. Her eyes opened fully for the first time, and Elias saw clarity return to them. "You saved me," she said weakly. "You were freezing. Anyone would have helped." She studied him for a long moment, her gaze surprisingly intense for someone so exhausted. Then she tried to sit up, but her energy failed. Elias gently supported her back and lowered her against the pillows again. "You need rest," he said. "Don't worry about anything else." Her expression softened, as if she wasn't used to someone speaking to her so calmly. Most humans feared the Ketheri. Most aliens feared humans. But Elias never liked fear. He liked honesty. "I am not used to such kindness," she whispered. "You fell on my roof. I think that makes you my guest." Her lips curved very slightly, almost like a smile. "You still do not know who I am?" "Not yet," Elias answered. "But I'll figure it out when you're warm enough to tell me." Her eyes closed again, but this time she rested, not unconscious, just letting her body recover. Elias checked the temperature one more time before turning down the lights. Hours passed quietly. The shelter hummed with warm energy, and the wind outside softened. Elias sat in a chair near the bed, dozing lightly, but always keeping one ear tuned to her breathing. Sometime near dawn, she stirred again. He woke instantly and moved closer. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Warm." For the first time in many hours, she replied softly. Elias nodded. "Good. Try to drink this." He offered her a small cup of warm mineral broth from the station's supplies. She drank slowly, her hands still weak. When she finished, she looked at him with more strength than before. "Human," she said, her voice steadier. "You saved someone you should fear." Elias frowned. "Why would I fear you?" She turned her gaze to the window, where the last traces of dawn glowed on the frozen hills. "I am Queen Valera of the Ketheri Empire." Elias froze. Now it made sense, the size, the markings, the aura of authority even in weakness. Queen Valera was the most powerful figure in this part of the galaxy, known for her intelligence, her strength, and her aloof distance from all other species. No human had ever seen her up close, until now. Elias took a slow breath. "All right," he said calmly. "Then I guess I shared my shelter with the Queen." Her eyes widened just a little. "In your bed." Elias almost choked. "That wasn't. I only wanted to keep you warm." "You were freezing." "I know," she said softly. "You did not act out of desire. You acted out of care." She looked at him for a long time, and something in her eyes changed, something gentle, something warm that surprised even her. "Humans confuse me," she whispered. Elias laughed quietly. "We confuse ourselves too." She studied him as if he were something rare. "You stayed awake to watch over me. You were injured. I wasn't going to leave you alone." Her breath slowed. She looked down at his hand resting near her arm. Her fingers moved toward it slowly, deliberately until they lightly touched his. "You shared your warmth," she said. "Your shelter, your safety, your bed." Her voice lowered, filled with something emotional but calm. "In my world, such actions create a bond." Elias blinked. "A bond?" "Yes." She looked into his eyes. "A powerful one." He felt his heart beat a little faster, not out of fear, but from the weight of her words. He knew nothing about Ketheri traditions that involved bedside care. He had no idea what he had accidentally stepped into. Valera continued, her voice gentle. "And in the laws of the Ketheri Empire, once a bond is formed, the queen cannot walk away from the one who created it." Elias stared at her. "So what does that mean?" "It means," she whispered, "that I am bound to you now." The quiet inside the shelter deepened. Elias tried to understand the gravity of her words, but the meaning felt unreal. He was just a human captain posted on a lonely moon, and she was the ruler of a massive alien empire. Valera's golden eyes softened again, as if she already accepted something he hadn't caught up to yet. "You saved my life," she said. "In my culture, that makes you someone I cannot leave." She rested her head back on the pillow, tired again but calm. "When I am strong enough to rise," she whispered, "I will stay by your side." Elias swallowed. "Even if I tell you not to?" The queen closed her eyes, but her voice remained steady. "You shared your bed with me, human." She murmured, "Now I am yours by ancient vow." Elias sat in silence as her breathing softened again. The reality began to settle in his mind. The most powerful alien queen in the region was lying in his bed, and she wasn't planning on leaving.